channel, Johnny Wheeler Reacts. I'm Johnny Wheeler. Welcome back. Today, I am finally back. I've been under the weather and, bad cold, coughing, hacking, sneezing. Nobody wants to see that. That's why I've been sort of delayed so long. And I've had technical issues. Uh, for those that don't know, I tried to get this out in the last video. I was going to do another video like about a week or so ago, and I had recording problems. Yeah. So, for those of y'all that wanted part 4 of When America Really Messed You Up, Americans Living Abroad, that part of the series, I was gonna do part 5, and the channel that carried part 4 apparently no longer exists or no longer does them. And this one called TikTok Reacts, they do the part 4 and 5 and so on. So I'm gonna do this part 4, and it's probably gonna replace the other part 4. But I'm gonna do, because it doesn't have that. For those that don't know, the last part 4 had somebody. It was sort of a reaction within a reaction, uh, and this doesn't have that. So we can go back to the original form of it being just me. But we'll be able to hopefully have fun with it. Y'all wanted them, so I'll try to get them out to y'all, and hopefully we won't have any problems this time. Might have to shake the rust off. It's been a minute. Hope y'all are having a great one out there, morning, noon, night, whenever you're watching this. And without any further ado, let's get at it, y'all.
Currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
Okay, so unfortunately, I have more than one of these situations because America. But one that I know specifically that just happened to me recently, I was walking to my car. It was late at night. I was leaving the mall, and this guy was walking behind me, and I was just like, dun 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 dun. What does he want from me? And I got in my car, and when he walked past, I locked the doors, and I was just like, wait a minute, you're not in North Carolina anymore. And it's so weird because I've been so comfortable here. I've went inside of the store and left my car running because it's super hot in Abu Dhabi, and I'm like, let's leave the air going. But yeah, America has really made me scared to strangers, which I mean, it probably should because the world is crazy. But yeah, not in the UAE. It's just not that way.
When I was studying abroad in Japan, I got super sick one month, and my host family kept telling me to go to the doctor, and I kept refusing. And when they asked why, I said because I was scared they were going to send me to the hospital and leave me with this huge bill. And then they quickly had to explain to me that that's not how it works, and if I actually needed to go to the hospital, I would not leave with a $6,000 bill just for IV fluids and ibuprofen.
So, as an American living in New Zealand for the last 2 years, I have definitely had a moment of clarity where I realized how the American healthcare system is. So I was watching this cooking show with my boyfriend, and the girl who wanted to win, she wanted to win because she had all these medical bills she needed to pay because she was in a hit and run. So she was hit, obviously, and her legs got super up. But I was like, wait, why is she paying $80,000 in medical bills because she got hit? That makes no sense. So,
No, it doesn't.
Safe to say, I don't think I'll be moving back to the States anytime soon. Especially since I broke my wrist here and it was completely free. How does that work? America, get your shit together.
So
Truer words are never spoken. Our healthcare system is notoriously jacked up. I'll have more after the video.
a few weeks after I moved to South Korea, I got pretty sick. I got a pretty gnarly sinus infection. So my boss insisted on taking me to the doctor, even though I was like, no, it's fine. I don't need to go. I'll get better. And she took me to the doctor, and I have health insurance here in Korea. I have the National Health Insurance Plan. And at the end of my appointment, my boss said to me, oh, it's 5,000. So I heard her say 5,000. 5,000 won is about $5 US. But in my head, there was no way it could have only been 5,000. So I pulled a 50,000 won note out of my wallet and I handed it to her. She tried to give it to the receptionist, and he was like, does she have anything smaller? This is a big bill. And she was like, do you have anything smaller? And I was like, but it's 50. She was like, no, it's $5,000. $5. And I was like, how can a
That is
doctor's
so
appointment only
wild.
be $5?
Yeah.
When my grandfather was dying, we went to Scotland to go and see, him for one last time. And at one point, my grandfather had a prescription that needed picking up. So I pop out of the car, run into the pharmacy, and I've got my purse on me. I don't have very much money with me. I just didn't. And I went in, and I'm just like, okay, I'm here to pick up for my grandfather. This is his name. And I've got my passport out, ready to hand it to them, like to prove that I'm who I say I am. They're like, oh yeah. How's John doing? Here you go. Here's his stuff. Hey, let him know that if he ever needs help with this, you can just call us. We'll send it on down to him. I said, thank you. And then I stood there and they're like, why are you still here? I was like, but I need to pay. And they're like, no, you don't. He's old. Everything's free. I never felt more uncomfortable leaving a building than I did in that day. It was awful.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm a U.S. citizen currently living in Costa Rica. We have to be careful about
Alright,
the
I
use
remember
of the word
seeing this
American
one
since the
in one of the
Americas
other videos.
continents. Anyway, I have so many examples of how the U.S. me up, specifically Florida. We got to Costa Rica the second weekend in November, obviously still deep in the throes in the U.S. with COVID. And coming from Florida where there's so many anti-maskers and COVID deniers, it was surreal to go to these establishments here where everyone's following the Ministry of Health's rules. There's hand washing stations outside of every establishment. There are people taking your temperature to go into grocery stores and certain restaurants. People are giving you distance. Everyone is compliant with masks. And I found myself so defensively postured, ready to argue because I had gotten into so many arguments in Florida with anti-maskers and COVID deniers. It's amazing when people don't politicize a virus.
So I don't currently live abroad, but I grew up abroad, and I have so many. The first one is Common Core math. This one didn't mess me up as much when I was living abroad as much as it did when I moved back. Because believe it or not, when I was growing up, I was taught to understand the inner workings of the math. Like, I understood the math. I understood what was happening in the equations. I knew what they meant. But when I came back, the people that were getting A's on tests, like doing the best in math, had no understanding of what was actually happening in the math. I remember having like right answers, and I would be getting marked down because I wasn't using the Common Core math. And then when I tried to use the Common Core math, I didn't know how to do it because it was just steps, and I didn't understand what was going on in the math, and I wouldn't do well. Like, oh my god.
So I live in Paris, and 2 months ago I got hit by a taxi.
Isn't this funny?
Relatively hard. I fell down on the street. All these people came, they picked me up, they brought me over to a bench. Someone from a restaurant brought me a glass of water. Another woman gave me a handful of coins, and I was like, I don't need your money, it's okay. And she was like, sweetheart, this is your money. It fell out of your pockets when you got hit by the taxi. And I was like, Sonic the Hedgehog vibes, great. The man who hits me goes to call the ambulance, and I said, stop. Do not call the ambulance. That will cost me $3,000 to $5,000 because that's what an ambulance costs in America. And he was like, what are you talking about? An ambulance is €7. I was like, oh my God. Remind me to twist my ankle on my way home from the club, and they'll give me an IV so I won't be hungover the next day? Catch me at the hospital. This is lit.
I'm answering this, but kind of the opposite. I'm an American who was born abroad and then moved to America. We moved when I was 8, and I went from a really nice school to an American public school. And on the very first day, I came in with a snowsuit in one hand and a pair of slippers in my other hand. I was like, where do I put this down? They looked at me like, no, you don't need a snowsuit for class. What? We lived in Sweden, so if you were going to go to recess, there was a fair chance that you might need a snowsuit sometime. So I was embarrassed, my mom took it back, and then I heard a ding 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 above the speakers. When I tell you I was not prepared for 20 to 30 8-year-olds to stand up in unison, place their hands over their heart, and start chanting together, I don't think I can explain how weird that was. And then, nobody taught me the Pledge of Allegiance. From then on out, they just assumed I knew it. And that's just American arrogance for you.
So I live in Stockholm, Sweden,
True.
but I'm from Nashville, and I used to have the best job ever in Nashville, but I was always paranoid about getting fired for no reason, because that happened to a lot of people at my company. People get fired, and no one would say why. Like, they would just drop in the group chat and be like, this person's not with us anymore. We'd be like, Okay. So when I was applying for jobs in Sweden, I would like tell the employer, I'd be like, oh, job security is really important to me because I don't want to just like show up one day and find out that I'm fired. They were like, what are you talking about? Like, that's illegal. I was like, huh? And long story short, it's like completely impossible to fire someone like in Sweden. The company has to prove that you either killed somebody or that like employing you will make them bankrupt. It's like so much work to try and fire somebody. But you can quit whenever you want depending on your contract. But yeah, all my employers were like shocked to hear that
I could really get fired tomorrow. Y'all let me know in the comments. Is it really like, wow?
I chose to do this even though I'm a Canadian and we have free healthcare. But the reason I'm doing it
y'all have got
is
awesome
because
healthcare
everyone
compared
talks
to
about
us.
healthcare with this stitch. And guess what? I'm in Greece. I'm in Europe. Okay, so 2015, I'm in Europe. I've got bilateral pneumonia, both lungs full. 2 months in, I'm seeing no signs it's getting better. I can't breathe. I can't even walk 10 steps. I'm out of breath. I'm like, can't do any. Finally, it's life or death. I mean, I gotta go to the hospital. I gotta bite the bullet. Whatever they're gonna charge me in Greece, I gotta pay it. So I show up at the hospital. They put me on this ventilator thing. They got my airways opened up. They did x-rays. I still got the x-rays. They did blood work. They did everything. They told me what I had. They gave me 3 different types of meds. And when I go to leave, you know how much they charge me? €5. It's about $6 American. What?
That is just insane.
So about a year ago, I ended up going to the emergency
I still
room
can't get over
here
that.
in the US because I had really bad asthma and I felt like I couldn't breathe. And all they told me to do at the emergency room was to take some allergy pills. Some that I already had at home, and then they just sent me home. And it ended up being $2,000, including insurance. Back up to 2 years ago, I was in China, and I had to go to the emergency room for the exact same thing. And I was like, thank God I got the study abroad health insurance because I'm going to the emergency room right now and I'm really afraid how much it's going to be. Okay. Ended up going to the emergency room and in the end, I paid $4 without the insurance. Didn't even need it. It was $4.
Oh, that's it. All right. Well, that was a lot of the, the medical health care differences that we've seen in a lot of the other videos. No matter how many times I see it, it just blows my mind how simple that is. The one thing that got me out of this one was the what it takes to fire somebody. I've had a couple of friends who, unfortunately, here who have lost their job for a lot of BS reasons. That were unfounded, unwarranted, and yet they still. It could have been just something as simple as the one ahead of them just didn't like them. That was it. Just didn't like them. And the person was a horrible, horrible human being. But that's a story for another day. Yeah, so post down in the comments. Let me know what y'all thought. If y'all liked it, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. It would really help me out. Y'all have been so kind, encouraging, and gracious, and keep me going even though when the channel's down sometimes, and I've had lapses and putting content out like this. Stuff happens, y'all. That's all I can tell you. So the funniest ones is when, like about a year ago, it's coming up on 2 years, April 22nd. Hopefully, I'll be able to do something really cool. Then the JWR will be 2 years old, so I'm looking forward to that. Last time I couldn't do it because there was construction going on, like a few houses down out here, and so I wasn't able to really do nothing. There was a lot of noise, and so hopefully this will be different. We'll see. That was a pretty good one. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. Part 5 will be coming up soon. Hopefully I won't have any issues, later on down the road. And I'll be sprinkling some other ones in between this and that one, just to kind of mix it up a little bit. Let's get some more stand-up in there. I'm going to be doing something with different with stand-up videos. Hopefully it'll work and I won't have any issues as far as putting it out. So until the next one, y'all, this is Johnny Wheeler, and I'm out.